Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco, and Russell Jackman. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. And today, because of coronavirus and all that, NFL tragedies. That's our theme today. All right.
All right.
And we don't have another guest, but there's three of us will handle this. So a few things we're gonna cover in the next segment. Major League Baseball plans to start in July.
Yeah, that's the top story.
Yeah. With no fans. Now, I guess
that's okay.
Yeah, but if they open things up, maybe they can like spread out fans or basically just say, listen, come with a mask or take your chances.
No, I think it's going to be one way or the other, Edward. You just can't start the season and then 10 games in, well, we're going to let the fans in. I mean, that's got to be figured out. In fact, Sean Doolittle, who is a big Players Association union guy, is like, what are we talking about? We don't even have a vaccine yet. Are we really going to put ourselves at risk and proceed forward? So, I mean, there's been some pushback to it, but this has been the best, I guess, running idea so far. You think?
So far, yeah. You know, this is for all those conspiracy theorists out there. Have you heard that the number of deaths being attributed to the coronavirus is more than the statistics show? In other words, when someone dies, if they can't figure out exactly what's going on, they just kind of say, "Oh, just put down on the autopsy coronavirus." Have you heard that?
So you're saying
all I can say, fellows, is that I'm going to a funeral today for someone who did die from COVID-19. So people who are saying that can take that statistic and stick it up their butt.
Okay, well, you know what? I was going to say that obviously there are some people who are going to die of it, right? But I'm just saying that.
Yeah, and I'm going. I personally now know someone who has died from it. It's a friend of mine that I've known for over 40 years, and so anyone who wants to say that the numbers are overblown, all they need to do is have someone they know die from it, and suddenly those numbers aren't as overblown as they seem.
Okay, all right. Well, stay with us.
What's your source? I'm curious to know what your source is.
We got to cut to a break. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Boy, it got kind of heated there at the last 10 seconds.
I'm just kind of curious. Obviously, this hits home for Mr. Jackman, but for you and the statistic, what is that based on?
It's based on again, various sources. From people some are doctors, some are not. People are being told that they're actually getting paid if they put down from Medicare. If they put down coronavirus, they get paid more than if they don't put down coronavirus.
Wow, somebody reported that? I mean,
actually, that was actually in USA Today.
Wow.
Yeah. So supposedly, unless someone photoshopped that on. I mean, here's the problem: nobody knows what truth is anymore.
Right.
I mean, that is so funny. You go all the way back to Pontius Pilate asking Jesus, "What is truth?" Right? I mean, it really goes. That's really the main thing. Nobody knows anything anymore. But anyway, back to sport.
That's very sad. And we in the modern age of electronics and internet and whatnot, and what used to be fair and balanced reporting based on fact, based on credible information, and now what to believe.
I'd have to look back at it too, because in addition to apparently the doctors getting paid more if they say coronavirus, they get paid even more if they put someone on a ventilator. So again, there's too much incentives out there for people to do the wrong thing.
Yeah, but there's people that are really dying in New York City. I mean, there's really a lot of people dying in New York City, and without testing, that you can't put a number on it at all. It's ridiculous for people to even postulate how many people have the virus, because without testing, and we were told by Trump that anyone who wanted to get a test would have one in March. We were told that we'd have testing available in March, and here we are in May, and the vast majority of the people in the United States don't even have the ability to get tested. You have to twist people's arms. you have to go and get an exception made for you to get a test.
Well, how many times has a politician told you the truth, right? I mean, you
Well,
got.
hey,
but it's past telling you the truth. It's time to make that truth happen so that people can get tested. In other countries, they're way ahead of us as far as the testing goes. And that's one reason why I think that when we talk about trying to put fans together in a stadium without being able to test them, it's just goddamn ridiculous.
No, that I could see. Okay, no, watch your mouth there, my friend. But I can see. I can see, like, when you go to certain games. Well, actually, pretty much all games, they test for whether you have weapons. So why couldn't they have some kind of machine where you pass through it, or a swab or something, where they can have a test to see how sick you are, right?
Well, I'm sure that's been thought of in.
Oh yeah, I didn't invent that.
Zoom chat meeting out there. Yeah, I'm sure that's been broached as we try to move forward. I really feel bad for the poor people who lost their lives non-coronavirus related. It's like it's like if you didn't die from a direct pandemic, it's like, on to the next. But I mean, at least that's kind of the feeling I have. But man, I just feel bad for the families out there who lost loved ones, not even coronavirus related.
Sure. I mean, could be a car accident, could be some other illness.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with regard to
but back to baseball though.
Back to baseball. Yeah.
I like the 80 some odd game schedule. I like the boost from 5 to 7 playoff teams per league. So you get 14 playoff teams. I
like it.
I like the look of it. I like the structure of it. Let's get them out there. Let's see what we got. I'm sure the players are anxious.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, 162 games is a lot of games. And it's funny because a lot of times, these guys get tired by late August, early September. Well, now they'll still have their wheels going, so to speak. Right?
I never want to hear a player making that much money saying, "Well, I'm tired."
No, I know. No, I'm not saying
we all get tired in what we do, but if you're professional, you get out there and you perform.
Oh, I'm not talking about people complaining. I'm talking about when you want to see good baseball. You want to see guys at the top of the season, right?
Are you saying that you're not seeing good baseball come later in the season?
No, I'm just saying that when you can tell, maybe a pitcher's running out of gas a little faster than he ought because they're playing too many games. It's just a physical thing. It's not, the idea of, the guys are wussies or anything like that. It's just, I mean, it's like when if you watch a basketball game and it goes into 10 overtimes, I mean, hasn't happened yet, but if it went into 10 overtimes, I mean, by then, you're going to have to put fourth string players in, and they're not going to really have that much energy. You know what I mean?
You know what? I'm not buying that. I mean, if you're a starting pitcher, you pitch every 5 days. You start in April. I have to believe by the time September hits and the muscle memory is kicked in and you do whatever you're supposed to do in between the 5 starts. I have to believe.
Okay, how about a catcher? Maybe a catcher instead, right? I mean, you got a couple of backup catchers and all that, but I mean, that many games on your knees is gonna do something to you.
Right.
Again, they get paid well and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying that with 80 games. By game number 72, these guys are still going to be at the absolute top of their game, right?
Well, I think every team's going to carry at least 2 catchers. I mean, you do have to give somebody. You do have to get rest. I mean, especially if you're playing every other day. Exactly. I do buy that, but I don't think you'll ever hear any player on the record just saying, "Oh man, I'm just tired today."
Oh, of course not. No, you're not going to hear that.
They all want to get out there and play.
They all play tired. They all play hurt and all that kind of stuff. Hey, what do you think would happen? Like let's say a year or two after this coronavirus is over, where do you think the schedule will just go back to normal, or would they suddenly go, we've made a couple of changes here that we kind of like and want to keep instituting? Like the extra playoffs.
That depends on revenue, baby.
For those who can't see,
revenue, advertising dollars, whatnot. Yeah.
But Vern is doing the old
All
fingers of
depends
the
on that.
advertising dollars.
Yeah, you're a finance guy, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. That really what it comes down to is money. Hey, moving on.
I mean, how did we get to 162 games? They were like, hey, boy, this thing is working. Let's just add more games, because it was 154 in the late 50s.
That's right.
So they figured, hey, let's just make more money by just adding games. That's kind of how it happened.
In fact, do you remember the first year that they added the games?
No.
It was 1961 when Maris hit 61 home runs. It was specifically that year.
Okay.
So the year before, it's like, it's kind of interesting how that happened, where they just add the 8 games and boom, he goes ahead and hits the extra home run to beat Babe Ruth's record. Okay, when we come back, of course, we have to talk about the Last Dance series.
Oh, yes. Chapter 7 and 8. Very good.
Holy smokes. Next Sunday is like the last 2.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, everyone's, itching for more. It's been great. It's been really, really good. Okay. So again, we're gonna start asking trivia questions. This first one is NFL tragedies. Which 1991 Lions offensive lineman in his 3rd NFL season had a career-ending injury which left him paralyzed?
Ooh.
I mean, you'll remember this, but so all of these questions are people who you should know. All right, that's our first trivia question. Email edward@sportecon101.com. The answer to this question: which 1991 Lions offensive lineman? Which is kind of interesting because he's an offensive lineman. In his 3rd NFL season, had a career-ending injury which left him paralyzed. And I remember this, and you keep watching the films, and you can't really see what happened to make him get paralyzed. It's one of those freak accidents. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about Last Dance, also talk about Zion Williamson being sued, and Robert Kraft auctioning off his Super Bowl ring for charity. What a guy. All right, okay, stay with us. You are listening to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Here was our first trivia question. Which 1991 Lions offensive lineman in his 3rd NFL season had a career-ending injury which left him paralyzed? You guys remember that?
The name slips me. I remember it. I'm not sure if it was I think it was the way
I
think
remember
it was the way
it
he
too.
hit the ground.
I know as soon as you say the name, I'm going to remember it.
You ready?
Also.
Mike Utley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike Utley.
They've done a lot to restore his spine condition. He's
Really?
undergone a lot of interesting experimental treatments to restore his ability to. He can't walk again, but he's got feeling in his legs, I think.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's good.
Stem cell research.
Okay, very good. Very good.
When you get out there and you suit up, I mean, there's always the assumption of risk that freak stuff could happen. I mean, Darryl Stingley getting hit by Jack Tatum. I mean, that was actually a really vicious hit. The Mike Utley thing. It wasn't so much that it was vicious, Edward. It's just
I'm sorry.
Stingley was up in the air.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything bad.
And then Tatum hit him in the legs, and it's the way Stingley came down on his head and neck. That was the end.
And when I said vicious, I wasn't demeaning Jack Tatum. I was just saying it was a hard hit is really what I meant. But the Mike Utley thing,
I might be ruining one of your trivia questions, but I was at the Monday Night Football game with Napoleon McCallum.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And you know what? I had just hurt my leg, my ankle, playing basketball in a pickup game. So I was on my bed with my foot elevated in a cast that had just gone on, and I was watching that game. And even though his was a knee and mine was an ankle, I had extra writhing and pain watching his knee go backward. I still remember that. In fact, do you remember who hit him?
No.
Ken Norton Jr.
Ken Norton Jr.
He was playing for the Raiders at the time. Or he was playing for the 49ers at the time.
49ers.
Yeah, because McCallum was playing for the Raiders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, it's one of those, you remember where you were when when certain things happen.
Speaking of which, there's a great documentary that's out on Alex Smith. It's called Project 11. and it just details what happened to him when he broke his leg in multiple places.
Yeah.
Playing for the Redskins. It just who hit him? It was
Did it just happen?
He was playing against the Houston Texans, and J.J. Watt hit him along with another guy, and he broke his leg in multiple places. This was 2018.
Yeah, I was gonna say that just happened.
And he almost lost his life because the injury got infected, and now not only is he walking, he's actually doing quarterback drills. He's
great.
seriously talking about making a comeback to the NFL.
That's amazing. Yeah, his injury was a little different than Joe Theismann's.
No, it was exactly like Joe Theismann.
Was it compound fracture?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
it was one of the great what ifs in 49er history. What if Alex Smith didn't get hurt, and possibly goes on to a Super Bowl without Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah.
When he got hurt, that's when Colin Kaepernick got his chance to take over the reins of the 49ers.
And if memory serves, that Alex Smith injury occurred on the same date, not year, same date as Joe Theismann's injury.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, and what was it? In fact, Tom Brady got his start because Drew Bledsoe had gotten hurt.
He got knocked out of the game. Yep. Yeah. That was it.
So moving on, guys, to the Last Dance series.
I
know. It's amazing. It's mesmerizing, and I love the way they keep going back and forth, in the years.
Mm-hmm.
Just phenomenal. So
few of my takeaways from that one. First of all, I thought it was very interesting the way they peeled back the emotional onion about what was hanging and weighing on Michael Jordan's mind. I mean, the loss of his father, the plan all along that he was going to quit and try baseball. I forgot that Terry Francona was his first manager with the Birmingham Barons.
Yeah.
I also forgot that in I'm not sure whether it was chapter 7 or 8. I also forgot that George Karl was the head coach of the Seattle Supersonics in the NBA Finals, and we've seen so much that Jordan has said to get himself motivated, even if he has to lie to get himself motivated. But the story told about George Karl snubbing him and walking right by
saying hello at the restaurant. Yeah.
These are two guys who played guard for North Carolina.
I have a question for you guys. Do you think we are done ever seeing the two-sport athlete ever happen again?
No, I think
no, I don't think so. You see a lot of baseball, football. You see a lot of that happening. Yeah. I don't think we've seen the last of it. It kind of depends on whatever the athlete in school negotiate. Some kids want to play both sports. Some schools are saying, we just want you to play this, and then that can be a deal breaker in the recruiting process.
Yeah, you don't get too many Deion Sanders out there, do you?
No. Well, you'd think that someone else would want to try it just because there's so much money involved. But maybe now, because there's so much money involved, they really want you to be the man
one
for
sport,
them. They don't want you splitting your time or possibly getting injured with another sport.
Well, I don't know about you, but if I gave somebody a 5-year, $60 million contract to play football, I don't want him in spring training. Fielding grounders.
Sure.
I mean, what if he's hit by an errant foul ball or something like that?
Sure.
I mean, it's you're already paying life insurance on him. Boy,
you get a good disability policy too.
Yeah.
Brian Bosworth got,
Madison Baumgartner wants to be the next great dirt bike rider plus rodeo clown or whatever he's trying to push when he gets on those horses. So maybe Madison Baumgartner is going to be the next.
Yeah, that's
sport athlete.
Well, or do the old Jim Brown, be an actor at the same time. Now that's a little less dangerous, right?
Yeah, but the thing with that, he started production of the Dirty Dozen of that in the off season, and then there were production delays that went into the training camp session, and then there was a a stare down between him and Art Modell.
Yeah.
And Brown just said, "Yeah, fine, I'll quit," and that was it.
You know, going back to this Last Dance with Jordan, to kind of see, I think, yeah, Reggie Miller made the comment about, you know, doing Space Jam and doing this and doing this, and then how does he have the energy to play at such a high level even after all that?
I didn't know that they built that big corporate tent, that makeshift gym for him to work out when he wasn't doing his shooting schedule for Space Jam. I didn't know. I didn't know any of that. And how about that? How about the bringing in athletes where they could just go toe to toe with these full on scrimmages into the night when he had a call time of maybe 6 a.m. to shoot the next day. Crazy.
Again, yeah, there aren't too many human beings on the planet who could do something like that. That was just incredible.
What did you think about how Jordan would, whether it's practice or games or whatever, Jordan had no problem getting on guys, and his attitude is, hey, if I'm getting on you and you can't take it, how are you going to take it in a real game? And he didn't care whether you liked him or not. He just wanted to win.
But he also didn't ask you to do anything that he wasn't doing himself.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then
correct. He respected, like with Steve Kerr, when Steve Kerr stood up to him, suddenly he gained his respect.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. That was an interesting story.
Yeah.
But Kerr says practice fights like that happen all the time. Three, four times in a year, you'll see a practice fight. Because you got competitors just kind of going at it when they full on scrimmage like that. They're all fighting for minutes, especially the reserve guys.
Unless you're Scott Burrell, because you're such a nice guy. You know?
Yeah, he just took it.
He seems like a really sweet guy, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, David Robinson was kind of like that too. In fact, you know, they just thought he just wasn't tough enough because he was, you know, just a really, really nice guy. You know, but what did he put in? 80 points or something one time. I mean, they kept feeding him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He made it onto the dream team and all that. Good stuff. Let's see. When we come back, we're going to talk about Zion Williamson. Have you guys heard about him being sued by his old marketing company?
Okay.
And then Robert Kraft auctioning off his Super Bowl 51 ring. This is the one where they made the comeback against the Atlanta Falcons, which will probably go down in history as one of the biggest choke games, I guess.
Big choke jobs?
Big choke job. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, guys, here's our second trivia question regarding NFL tragedies. Which fourth season New York Jet defensive end in 1992 had his career ended by being paralyzed in a late season game? So he was a fourth season New York Jet defensive end in 1992. Had his career end by being paralyzed in a late season game, which is kind of add an extra frustration when it comes, you know, in a late season and you're not. Well, I don't remember '92 if the Jets had a good team. Maybe that was the New York Sack Exchange.
Probably not.
Probably.
But boy, you talk about late. You know, that's a sore subject for Raider fans because it was that game against the Colts where Derek Carr broke his leg.
Oh,
and that was a Super Bowl contending team.
Absolutely. All right,
that was the end of them.
Yep. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101 one more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Second trivia question. Which fourth season New York Jet defensive end in 1992 had his career end by being paralyzed in a late season game? You guys remember?
Tell me.
Okay. Dennis
Yeah,
Bird.
no, the only one when I think tragedy and New York Jets, I think of Al Toon and all his concussions.
Oh, yeah, he was great. I loved Al Toon. Dennis Bird.
Okay.
Dennis Bird. Okay.
All right, Dennis Bird. Yeah, no, I didn't. I mean,
Forgot
now
about
that you mention it, I kind of remember it, but it was, you know, I'm not a huge Jets fan or anything. So.
Okay, but the next question, I think you guys will probably know. All right. So now moving on here. Okay, so Zion Williamson is being sued by marketing company Prime Sports Marketing for breach of contract. So,
what's the story there?
So he signs a contract with Prime Sports Marketing. Then, so much time later, like literally, I don't know, I don't remember, like months later or whatever, he gets into the NBA draft. 5 days after the NBA draft, he quits Prime Sports Marketing and he signs with CAA, which I guess is the largest.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Allegations of him being and then it sounds like Sports Marketing basically says not only are we going to sue you, but we're going to kind of slander things a little bit. Where the allegations of him being paid when he was at Duke, so they're trying to smear him too.
Oh,
So,
wow. You know, and I saw a blurb where even Mike Krzyzewski is going to be deposed in this case.
Yeah.
The Duke head coach.
So who was it? Charles Barkley was quoted as saying, he goes, "Yeah, I made more money in college than I did as being a pro."
Yeah, yeah. Auburn just didn't get caught.
Yeah.
During the time that he was there.
Do you guys remember a basketball film called One on One with Robbie Benson?
Yes, I do.
You know, it's funny. I can't seem to find it anywhere, like Netflix, Amazon, or any of those things. But the one part I specifically remember was he was a very good, he's sort of a Pistol Pete type guy in high school, and he gets recruited for college.
For you young people out there, that's Pete Maravich.
Yeah, so
just a great, phenomenal basketball player. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, who still has the highest college average of, I think, 45 points a game. Ridiculous.
Playing for LSU.
LSU, that's right. So anyway, so Rob, the character, as soon as he gets to college, you know, they're basically trying to show him, look, you know, you get paid for being in college. And he's going, what? I don't understand. And so one guy tells him, oh, yeah. He goes, my job was to wash the coach's car, and I'd get, like, you know, hundreds of dollars a month. And so Robbie's, well, what am I supposed to do? And he goes, well, meet with this guy over here. And the guy's the groundskeeper. And he goes, okay, I'm here for work. What do you want me to do? He goes, nothing. They're automatic sprinklers. Because he was supposed to water the lawn.
He was supposed to water the lawn? Oh, funny.
But it's kind of funny how we just sort of all laugh at that. But I mean, that's kind of a big thing, you know. College athletes are not supposed to, you know, get paid off, so to speak. And
but that's going to soon change, my friend. You'll be able to make a little money off of your name.
And now that we're seeing with the COVID virus situation, where players, the kids really have to find some way to make some income. Just saying that we're giving you a college scholarship isn't really enough to keep them, to be able to help them, survive through, this economic situation. They're going to need some finance, real to get paid for what they do. Otherwise, the incentive for them to cheat is just way beyond, any reasonable level, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was in high school, we had a really good high school player who ended up going, I think he ended up going to Chico, which is, kind of a small school. And yet one day he drives up in like a brand new sports car. We go, where'd you get the money for that? And he goes, well, the college gave it to me.
There's a famous O.J. Simpson story when he was playing for City College in San Francisco. This is before he went to USC. Now, in those days, O.J. lived in Potrero Hill, and he would get rides to get over to City College. And then all of a sudden, this guy who would give him a ride, who was connected with a team manager or something like that, all of a sudden, O.J. wasn't riding with him to and from school anymore. And so he goes up to him and goes, OJ, what, is something I did wrong? Are you mad at me? I mean, you're not coming to me. You're not in the carpool. I'm not picking you up or dropping you off. I mean, what's going on? And then OJ kind of smiles and says, here, let me show you something. And they go to the back of this room, and then he points out the window and says, you see that Cadillac over there? Yeah, that's mine. I go, OJ, you don't have enough money to rub two nickels together. How are you going to get a Cadillac? He goes, oh, that was from my wink, wink, Uncle John.
Yeah, sure.
Oh man, and it's so funny because it was so kind of out in the open back then. Really, I mean, how do you hide a car like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. It's interesting too because
it wasn't a white Bronco.
yeah, that's right. No, that came later.
That came later.
It's interesting because a friend of mine just got his daughter into USC, and
Fight on.
yeah, exactly. That's right. And I don't know if they're going to get a scholarship because she's quite talented, not in sports, but something else that might get.
She's academically gifted, something like that.
Yeah, no, she does something else that would be considered potentially very, high up on the chain. Let's just call it that way.
Okay. All right.
Anyway,
Okay.
All legit and everything, but it's kind of weird because I wonder how many people out there kind of look at it as a stigma, like, oh, USC, because they were kind of the big one that seemed to get all the college bribes, so to speak. Which you kind of figure now they got to be extra, extra, extra careful, so it probably won't happen, right?
Yeah, they're the poster child for the Varsity Blues scandal.
Exactly.
And,
it's sort of like when
out there in litigation and out. So yeah, in fact, my wife and I mean, if we had $1 for every USC joke we had to hear after our middle son got into USC, and we'd be able to pay full tuition.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's sort of like remember after 9/11 and things calmed down just a little bit. A lot of people are still scared to go on airplanes, rightfully so. But it almost seemed like, you know what, that's probably the safest thing to go on now, because it's like once something really terrible happens like that, there's going to be so much pressure to make sure it doesn't happen again. It's probably safer.
Did you see the photograph of the United Airlines flight? This flight was packed. I mean, and
I saw it today.
No social distancing going on at all.
How do they get around that?
No, because you expect airlines to now that they can fly, to miss out on even $1. Because they've had 95% canceled flights the last 2 months, they're gonna, if they could Velcro people on the wing and stick them on the fuselage, they probably would.
Yeah.
The thing is, so they're talking about what people like. They're going to require people wear masks except for when they're eating on the plane.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think masks are just going to be just the standard wherever you're going. Take your mask with you.
So when I have to go on
the way it is in Korea.
If you're going inside somewhere, you're going to have to wear a mask.
So
outside walking around, I mean, kind of depends on where you are and what you're doing. A hike or something like that. But
this is going to be challenging.
Masks are becoming a fashion statement now.
Yeah.
People,
But I can't
people
see.
are trying to dress them up so they, it's depending on how fancy your mask is. That's your status symbol these days.
I don't know how I'm going to wear a mask for 6 hours on a flight, just going across country.
Well, guess what? If it's a 6-hour flight, you're wearing a mask.
Oh, my pro wrestling friends have been wearing masks for decades. My pro wrestling friends have been wearing masks for years and years and years.
Yeah. I don't
they
know.
wrestle in them.
Yeah.
So you guys are just getting used to it. You guys are just getting started.
Hey,
I would be entertained and chuckled by seeing a bunch of people getting on a plane with a Nacho Libre mask on. That would be funny.
I have one. I have a pro wrestling mask that I've modified for COVID virus reasons. Yes, so I do have that. I haven't had the guts to wear it. Yeah, I haven't had the guts to wear it at my local Target yet, but.
Oh, yeah, because you kind of look like a mass murderer or something, right?
Yeah, well, you get a lot of attention that way.
Well, yeah, try going into a bank with a mask like that.
You can now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can wear a mask now. They don't. They prefer it rather than you.
No, I'm talking about the pro wrestling type of mask that I think you're talking about.
There's no restrictions on homemade or self-made masks, whether they cover the entire head or your entire face. I've seen people walking in stores and wherever in actual gas masks.
So I'm wondering how banks are going to deal with, potential bank robbers, because the whole idea was you always had to take off your sunglasses and anything that would cover your face.
Can you play?
Yeah, well,
Ma'am,
now
can
they
you give
can
me a
describe
description
you
of
by
this
your
guy?
mask.
When do we get a gas mask on?
Exactly. I
He was
mean,
wearing a
and it's
mask. Maybe what you have to do is take the mask off so you can take a picture of you and then put the mask back on.
so far I've done my banking inside with a bandana completely across my face, and they didn't care.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then again, there's another thing they could do is just have the guard at the door shoot you.
Well, yeah, but how many guards are there now? At banks and being armed with a gun, it's rare now. I mean, maybe it'll come back in fashion, but like it didn't.
I think they do now. They are now. At least the Wells Fargo that I've been to.
Yeah.
There is a security guard now at the door. To check you for your mask that you are wearing a mask. I think that guy could do something if you try to pull off a height.
Yeah, in my building at Bank of America down here, they actually do have an armed guard too. But like some of the smaller banks, it's there's maybe 2 people in the bank. I wonder if you're going to see a lot more robberies because of that. Hey, but last thing before we cut to our last break. So Robert Kraft is auctioning off his Super Bowl 51 ring for charity. That's the one where they beat the Atlanta Falcons. So far, it's bid up to $330,000.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for him.
You guys ever watch Pawn Stars?
Yeah, if you flip it around, yeah.
Okay, every once in a while they'll have someone will come in with a Super Bowl ring, and sometimes it'll just be like a staff member. It's rarely somebody well known who they get in possession, and usually the rings go for maybe $40,000 to $60,000 because there's diamonds and stuff in it, and it's a Super Bowl ring. But when it's a quote nobody, and I guess wonder specifically if it's with Robert Kraft, that's a somebody. And maybe just also because it's a charity.
Exactly.
I mean, but $330,000, man, that's pretty good. I like that. Hey guys,
especially when Robert Kraft can pick up a phone and just say, I
need you to bid this much. Yeah.
I need you to bid this, just have him make me another one.
Exactly. Okay, hey guys, last trivia question. This Heisman Trophy running back from Syracuse was drafted by the Washington Redskins before the 1962 season.
Oh boy.
He was then traded to the Cleveland Browns for Bobby Mitchell. He died of leukemia and never played in the NFL. Who was he? All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101, and we'll be right back with some closing comments. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Third trivia question was, this Heisman Trophy running back from Syracuse was drafted by the Washington Redskins before the 1962 season. He was then traded to the Cleveland Browns for Bobby Mitchell. He died of leukemia and never played in the NFL. Who was he?
Ernie Davis.
Ernie Davis, yeah.
That's right.
Ernie
Davis. He was supposed to be the heir apparent, the next great back after Jim Brown left Syracuse for the Cleveland Browns, and just all of a sudden, I mean, he's drafted, and then and before camp, he just shortness of breath and just tired all the time, and then bam, leukemia, and then that was it. He went quickly.
Yeah.
Very, very tragic.
Yeah, didn't they have, was it called The Express, the movie?
That's what they call, that was the name of the movie. Yeah, but it was based on his nickname, The Express.
Exactly. Yeah. He was, it was actually an enjoyable movie. It was good. I like that. In fact, didn't they at the very, very end of the movie, they had somebody else. I don't know if it was OJ or maybe if it was Jim Brown and Ernie Davis. There was something, there was some famous person who they brought in at the very, very end of the movie to take the torch, and maybe it was OJ. I can't remember. Anyway, that being said,
I don't know why OJ would be involved.
I know because USC. I don't know.
Yeah, but Jim Brown, I could believe.
Jim Brown, maybe it was Jim Brown.
Yeah, I have to go back and look at it because Jim Brown's the greatest football player for Syracuse and the greatest lacrosse player for Syracuse.
Exactly. Okay, thoughts for the day. Old people at weddings always poke me and say, "You're next," right? When you're at weddings and they get married. So I started doing the same thing to them at funerals. I'm a very, very bad man. And don't get old. There's no future in it. All right. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.